Hello everyone, good afternoon. This is our second session for the training course for SolarWinds. As you can remember, in the first session we talked about how to install the SolarWinds on our system and what's the requirement for installing this software, this simulator, and we did a simple scenario. So in this session we will continue that course. In the first part we just check the parameters which we can change, for example in the sun, and there we just increased and decreased the mass of the sun and saw the results. In this video we are going to continue and check every parameters which we are able to change it in SolarWinds and see the results. So let's get back to the software. These are the parameters which we can change them in this Universe Sandbox simulator and see the results. For example, in the sun, we can also change the radius of the sun. It can be twice or many times more or even less. We can change the density, we can change the surface temperature, luminosity, speed, many parameters. For example, in this video I want to show you what's going on if we change the radius of the sun. From here, if you just click on the radius, you can increase or decrease. There is a plus and minus in two sides of this bar. We can increase from here. It would be increased very slowly. If you want to change it faster, you can even multiply by 2 or 10, or you can make it half, and other numbers you can use for changing the radius of the sun. For example, right now I'm increasing it to twice the radius of the sun, and we can see the results in the simulation. You can see in here all the orbits have been changed and the sun is bigger now, and there is lots of differences in the orbits of all the planets. Actually, you have to consider something. Let me stop the simulation. In here I've just tried to change the radius and it's twice, but in the same time the mass has been changed because the density is fixed. Because of changing the radius, we have the mass of the sun 8 times more. If we like to keep the mass of the sun fixed number, like one sun like always, and we just want to increase or decrease the radius, there is a lock in here. We can see we can lock the mass, and then if we just increase the radius, you can see the density is going down. They are working vice versa to each other. If we just increase the radius, the density would be decreased because the mass is the same. Actually, the mass is somehow related to the multiply of the radius and the density. So when it's fixed, if we just multiply it by 10, the radius, you can see the density has gone down. And by these locks, actually we can fix whatever we want. For example, now I want to fix the radius, so I just lock this parameter, and if we change the mass of the sun, we would see the density would be increased or decreased like this. So we can play with these parameters. These 3 parameters are absolutely related to each other, and if we want to fix one of these parameters, we have just to lock the parameter in there, and those 2 other parameters would be changed based on your action. This is how it works. If we want, we can lock the density, so you can see the radius and mass are unlocked. If we increase the mass, the radius is increasing. For now, for example, I want to fix the mass of the sun at 1 mass of the sun, and make a bigger sun with the lower density, which the mass finally would be the same. Now I've increased the radius of the sun, multiplied it by 13, so you can see the density is much less actually, and so I increase the radius of the sun. In this scenario, I want to see how much I can increase the radius of the sun without explosion, disintegration of the sun actually, because if you decrease the density lots of times, finally maybe the core cannot tolerate and keep the surface close to itself, and it would lose the surface. The core of the sun would lose the surface. So I will fix the mass to 1 and lock it. I keep increasing the radius of the sun. This is 20 times more now, and you see when I'm increasing the radius, the density is being decreased. I want to see how much I can increase it before the disintegration, before the explosion actually. So now the radius is around something like 1 AU is something like 150 million kilometers. So this is 30% of it. It can be maybe something like 45 million kilometers, and I'm still increasing it. You can see the density is decreasing, and we would get to the point which the density couldn't be less, and the core cannot still keep the surface close to itself, and the sun would lose the surface and lots of materials itself. We can see this scene right now. I'm still increasing the radius, and I want to see how much the uh, density can tolerate with decreasing. So now we have passed the half of the distance from the sun to the earth, because as you know, 1 AU is a standard distance between it's defined for the distance between sun and earth. So increasing more and more the mass, you can see it's still one mass of the sun, but the sun is much more bigger with less density. The surface temperature would be decreased if I just play the simulation. Oh, it's paused. Let me play it. Even we can lose it right now if I just let me decrease the AU, because I think maybe right now even we lose the sun because the density was so low. Now we have played and you can see it's not stopped anymore. Now I'm increasing the radius of the sun again, and I want to see how much it can tolerate, because in the previous situation the simulation was stopped. I was scared if I just played I would lose the sun in the same time, but now this is a real time test. We are increasing more and more. Now we are more than 30% of AU, the radius. Oh, you can see it. I've just stopped. You can see the mass of the sun is decreasing really fast, because the point that I told you, if the density is so low, the core cannot keep the surface close to itself, and the sun would lose the surface and lots of materials. So now I'm slowing down the simulation and see what's going on. You can see the mass is decreasing, and also we have a surface temperature is increasing. I'm not sure why it's increasing. By the way, sun is being disintegrated, I think. I keep increasing the radius of the sun and see when you can see the density is in the lowest um, amount. Oh, it's just lost. The sun lost right now. You can see in a moment with this density, it just lost the we just lost the mass of the sun. If I just play the simulation, you can see we would lose the sun. Let me slow it down so at least we can see the sense. Yeah, it's stopped again. And we don't have any sun here. I'm not sure what's going on. Let me increase the. This is one sun again. Let me put it as one. So it's disintegrated completely. So we could increase the radius of the sun up to maybe 60 or 70% of AU. And after that the density was so low so it couldn't tolerate, and the sun was just exploded, it was disintegrated. So in this way we just made a simulation, and we just saw how we can play with these three parameters: mass, radius, and density. I hope this video was interesting to you. In next videos, we would play with other parameters: luminosity. Sorry for some words, maybe I have wrong pronunciation. Speed, rotational period, and other parameters. There are lots of lots of interesting parameters which we can change and see the results. You can perform whatever you want, whatever you imagine about the solar system in this simulation, and lots of interesting ideas you might have. Please share your ideas with me. At least I can make a video for them. I will read all the comments. Please write in comments what do you want to see by this simulator. And also we can work with the space engine in other videos. After finishing this course, I will try to make a new series of videos for also space engines and any other interesting simulators which I know and you can recommend it to me. Thank you very much. Have a great night. Please, before leaving, like and subscribe my channel. That's a big support from your side to me. Thank you very much. Bye bye.